Shalom, Mashpuka. This message, back to Babylon. This message has a twofold meaning. I'm gonna give it the first meaning, the first part of it, but I'm gonna concentrate on the second part. Jumping right into this. This is 2 Chronicles 36:11 through 21. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he became king and reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. He did evil in the sight of Yahuwah his Elohim, and did not humble himself before Jeremiah the prophet, who spoke from the mouth of Yahuwah. This is what we must understand. These true prophets, they spoke from the mouth of Yahuwah. Remember, we must live by every word that came from the mouth. They didn't speak their own words. They spoke what came from him. And he also rebelled against the king Nebuchadnezzar, who had made him swear by an oath to Yahuwah. But he stiffed his neck and hardened his heart against turning to Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal. Moreover, all the leaders, now get this part, all the leaders, when the king commit iniquity, all the leaders and the prophets of the people transgress more and more. No one to help show them the difference between clean and unclean, according to all the abominations of the nation, and defiled the house of Yahuwah, which he had consecrated, set apart in Jerusalem. 15. And Yahuwah Elohim of the Father sent warnings. This is what the Father does. He sent warnings to his people. He sent warnings to them by the messengers, rising up early and sending them, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. When his people are doing wickedly, he sends them warnings. But what happened? We ignored the warnings. He's sending us warnings today. Are you ignoring the warnings? But they mocked the messengers of the Most High, despised his word, and scoffed at his prophets, until wrath of Yahuwah rose against his people, till there was no remedy. When his wrath comes, there will be no remedy. There will be nothing you can do to heal it. Therefore he brought against them the king of the Chaldeans, who killed the young men with the sword in their houses, and had no compassion on the young man or virgin, or the aged, or the weak. He gave them all into his hand, and all the articles from the house of the Most High, great and small, the treasures of the house of the Most High, all the treasures of the king and of the leaders, all these he took to Babylon. So we see him taking the things in the house of the Most High, the Kadash things, he's taking them to Babylon. Then they burned the house of the Most High, broke down the wall of Jerusalem, burnt all the palaces with fire, and destroyed all its precious possession. And those who escaped from the sword he carried away to Babylon. Here is the captivity. This is their Babylonian captivity. And we see 21, the land end up enjoying her Shabbats. The land could not enjoy her Shabbats because they was not keeping the Shabbats. They were breaking his Shabbats. So this is their Babylonian captivity. What happened? Isaiah 42:24-25. Who gave Yasharal to plunder? Who gave Yasharal to the robbers? He's asking a question. Who gave Jacob to plunder and Yasharal to rob? Was it not Yahuwah? He against whom we have sinned. So we understand this happened because we have committed these iniquities. He says, for they would not walk in his ways, nor were they obedient to his Torah. When you don't walk in his ways, don't expect good things to happen. We walk contrary to him, and we are proclaiming good things to happen to us. How can good things happen to us when we walk in contrary to him? Therefore, he has poured on them his anger. He poured fury in his anger, and the strength of battle. It has set him on fire all around, yet he did not know. When this thing happens, when the people was against him and he against them and judgment comes, they don't even know it. They don't know it's coming. And it burned him, yet he did not take it to heart. So there's a fire burning judgment that's coming, and the people don't see it coming. So we went through the captivity. We messed up. We got out of captivity. We went to the Babylonian captivity. We messed up. And we went back into this captivity. We went into captivity after captivity till we end up going back to Babylon. This is the first part of the message. And we went back to Babylon through the transatlantic slave trade. And we went into America and scattered across North America and South America and the islands. And this was going back to Babylon. So what happens? We in this captivity. The captivity was up. He visited us. And he told us to come out of her. This is what he said. Isaiah 48:20. Go forth from Babylon. Flee from the Chaldeans with a voice of singing. Declare, proclaim this. Utter it to the end of the earth. Say, Yahuwah has redeemed his servant Jacob. So this is us coming out of Babylon. Once again, in the last captivity, coming out. And coming back within his borders, being back within his borders. And what happens? We come within his border only to go through a waiting process. Then all the scriptures come to pass. They that wait upon him shall renew their strength. Barak is them that wait upon Yahuwah. And we understand, many of us, we can't go through this waiting period. And we say he's taking too long. Some of us have been over here 1 year, 2 years, 4 years. Some of us been over here 10 years. And then we give up hope. We keep looking back at her. We look at her splendor. We look at what she looks like. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful to behold with your eyes, And we go back to Babylon. This is the second part of this message. This is what we go back to, and I'm going to show you a vivid picture because you need to understand the people that left and went back into Babylon, the people that went back into her. You need to understand and see, what did you do? I scratch my head. Oh my goodness, what are you doing? This is what you did. This is her. You see this picture here? And yes, it's a little graphic. You've seen worse than this before. This is a woman with her, on her back with her legs open, and you went back up into her. Yes, this is wickedness. This is how Yahuwah sees her. And you went back to Babylon. You went back in her after coming out of her. You don't understand what you've done. You have no idea the consequences, the ramification that comes from going back in her. If you don't know, you will soon find out. Let's take a picture of what's to come. Because this is written, the prophets, it came out the mouth of the Most High, that fire, she will utterly be destroyed with fire. This is what came out of his mouth. And this is what you went back into. This is her judgment. Remember, come out of her, lest you receive her plague and receive her punishment, her judgment. Whatever's coming to her, it will come to you. And so for the people, of course, you have to be drunk in order to go back into her. You have to be drunk. You did not study. You did not connect with him when you came back within his borders. You took it lightly. If you had stayed and went through the wilderness, you probably would have been cut off anyway. Anyone that went back into her. Now let me mention this. Some of us went back into her in order to save face. Now this is ridiculous. In order to save yourself, in order to save your camp, you went back into her to save your camp. You better tell your camp to come up out of her. You go into her to save. And this is the results of not listening to the Most High. Now we understand what she is. Let's look at her. Let's look at her filth. Revelation 17:1-6. Then one of the 7 messengers who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying, Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sit on many waters. Remember, she's a great harlot, with who the kings of the earth committed fornication. The other nations go into her. The other nations are getting rich off of her. This is how you know who she is. And we want to ignore what's really going on. And the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. We understand the rest of the earth, the rest of the nations, they are drunk off of her. These people over here, Ishmael is drunk because of her. And I'm looking at Ishmael, and he's drunk. So he carried me away in the spirit in the wilderness, and I saw the woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy. This is who she is, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was arranged in purple and scarlet and adorned with gold and precious stones. She's rich. She is filthy rich. But she's filthy rich also in fornication. And on her forehead was named Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. She is an abomination of the earth. And you went back to Babylon? And you went back into this? You are drunk. And I saw the woman drunk of the bloods of the Kadesh. She killed our people there in that land. And you went back to where she killed our people. And of the blood of the martyrs of Yahusha. And when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement. Jude 7. Here is what she's likened to. Jude 7. As Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities around them in a similar manner of these, having given themselves over to sexual immorality. This is what she's doing. She gives herself over to sexual immorality. And the people there go after strange flesh. Yes, strange flesh. A man with another man is strange flesh. A woman with another woman is strange flesh. A grown man 60 years old with a 9-year-old boy is strange flesh. Sodom and Gomorrah was set forth as an example of the suffering, the vengeance of eternal fire. This was an example, and we still don't get it. We still go back into her because we are drunk. This is why we went back into her. Leviticus 14 through 16. And this is, of course, when you disobey the Most High, there's punishment. And going back into her, there's punishment. He says, but if you will not listen to me and carry out all these commands, when he say all these commands, every command that came from his mouth, come out of her, my people. That is a command that came from his mouth. And if you reject my decrees and abhor my Torah and fail to carry out all my commands and so violate my covenant, then I will do this to you. I will bring on you sudden terror, wasting, disease, and fever that will destroy your sight and sap your strength. You take every strength from you. You will plant seed in vain because your enemies will eat of it. Now, let me explain something. Right now, our people are again talking about it's holiday time. Yeah, Thanksgiving came and it went. And we was like, when was it? Only reason I know it came and it went because of the people that I sub to on their channel. Our people, they're talking about it. And I'm like, now we're into the Christmas month. And here they go. They're all into this because they're in her and they see this. Over here, we don't have to deal with that crap. You're in her and you have to deal with her holidays. Jeremiah 42:11. This is a word for us from the Most High. Do not be afraid of the king of Babylon. There's a wicked king right now ruling in Babylon. Don't be afraid of whom you are afraid. Do not be afraid of him, says Yahuwah, for I am with you to save you and deliver you from his hand. You see, he's here to save us and deliver us from his hand, but we must hearken unto the voice of the Most High. It's going to be a price to pay for those that came out of her and went back to Babylon. And I feel for those that have to pay for that price. Shalom.